Hi, I'm Kate. This is my third video blog about writing. I want to take the opportunity today to talk about that all-important first chapter. I previously spoke about gathering information and ideas, and I mentioned about mind maps. I'm currently doing a short story, so this is a bit messy, but my latest one, short story through from the beginning, the middle to the end, each aspect going into detail about what it's going to be about. Instead of using the cards, I've just numbered 1 through to I think 15, and it just says the hook and what I'm going to start in the chapter 1 and then how it leads on through chapter 2, 3, etc. The reason I'm doing that is so that I'm very clear about what I'm trying to say. Writers, especially with novels, will spend more time on the first few chapters than any of the others, or most writers anyway. I also feel, like I mentioned before, that's very important to know where the end of the novel or story is going to be, because how you start it is connected. So once you've decided about your genre and your tone, is it going to be humorous or is it going to be scary, you need to start thinking about your hook. Sometimes it's good to go through and look at maybe your favourite books or a book that's in keeping with the genre you've chosen and see how they start. I've got one here, for example, which is Lament. Oh, it's back to front, sorry. But Lament by Maggie Stiefvater, I think it is. And you can start a hook in lots of different ways. And there's loads of information online, so it's definitely worth going and having a look at that. But this one is kind of a little bit shock factor. You have to sum up quite a lot in your hook. You want to grab the reader and you want to keep them. So this one, she says, she started with dialogue, which again, I haven't started anything with dialogue, it's personal preference, but I think this works really well. She says, "You'll be fine once you throw up," Mum said from the front seat. "You always are." So instantly you're kind of like, oh, right. But also you're then wanting to know why she feels that way. You understand a little bit about the character, she's kind of vulnerable. And so you start asking questions and then you want to find out more, which is ultimately the idea of a hook. The other thing is as well, once you've got your hook, which triggers the dominoes of your story, if you like, you want to think about creating some emotion so that you're drawing the reader in and then they have empathy or a kind of emotional response to the character. Action and excitement, because you want to increase the tension. It doesn't have to be all dramatic right in the first sort of paragraph, but there needs to be some kind of tension there that you're building on, so questions are being asked. Obviously introduce your character, a little bit about it. It's good to kind of drop little seeds of information in rather than just giving a whole profile of age and look and everything. That's kind of a little bit obvious. It's nice to make the reader want to find out. So just drip feeding information throughout the whole thing is a really good way to tell your story and to tell people about the characters. So don't be too obvious. Definitely stir the questions. That's an important one, so that you're left wanting to know what's going to happen next. So when you've practiced and chosen your hook, it's important to think about your main theme. Is it forbidden love? Is it good versus evil? You'll have additional themes that run alongside, parallel to your story. This will add depth and make it more real, which is a good thing. But ultimately, your target market needs to know what the book's about, and they need to know that it's what they're interested in, and that's what will make them buy it. So you need to stick to what you're saying it is. So if it's forbidden love, it's good to really have that as your theme throughout. Don't get too lost with other things. Bring in the conflict. The conflict is going to be the engine that carries you all the way through. Again, the planning is really crucial with this. It's not just one main conflict, it's like hurdles that go all the way through, and you want your reader and your main characters or protagonists to experience this together, and the reader will be willing the character on. So when you do your planning, you need to know what conflicts there are and how you're going to deal with them and how they carry you from one situation through to another. Again, this is where you're knowing the end and the beginning and how it all ties in is really important. I know I keep repeating that, but I've found that it's made it so much easier for me to to really get the story out there and complete it and not get too lost with things. This is another, I'm really into my diagrams. This is another diagram that I do, which helps me work out the beginning, the middle and the end and where the peak should be. And you can go into it into as much detail as you like. But you see the middle of the story obviously has the peak. So you've got the beginning which starts at a high point, and then there's hurdles, then there's a big hurdle which is overcome, and then it's coming into the ending, and then you've got the resolution. This is a really basic way, but you know, there'd be much more hurdles in there, but it gives you an idea, and you can actually visually see that and almost say, right, chapter 1, this is what's happening, this is the challenge and the conflict, this is how it's resolved, this is the next conflict, this is how it resolves, this is how I get to the peak, this is how it resolves, and it goes on. So that's a really kind of simple visual way that helps me. So I hope some of this has helped, and I will see you next week for some more tips. Bye.